Hello and welcome to another episode of the Caring Support Podcast Care Kit series. Back with us again today is the lovely Carissa Haverkamp, registered psychotherapist, founder, and clinical director of Blossoms Counseling in Brantford, Ontario. Welcome back, Carissa.
Thank you for having me.
So today we have a question for you. It's around self-care. So our question is, what is self-care and why is it important?
Yeah, so self-care is pretty much what it says, right? So it's care of yourself. So the practice, it's kind of like the practice of taking an active role in protecting your own well-being and happiness, in particular during busy or stressful periods of life, when it's the hardest. It's the
Exactly.
most important that. So essentially, it's making sure that you have intentional moments throughout each day, whether it's one or two or three, where you do something that brings you joy or peace or calm. So that can look like different things for different people. Self-care can be many things, and it doesn't have to be complicated or expensive or hard to incorporate into life.
Perfect. So, what are some easy and maybe low-cost self-care activities that anyone could do, not just healthcare workers, or even if you have some specific ones for healthcare workers?
Yeah. So um, self-care activities that can help when you're dealing with stress can be, I often will have people take up a hobby that involves your hands and your mind. So sewing, coloring, puzzle making, things like that can be very helpful. Whatever kind of suits your fancy or makes you happy, right? Like, because it's different for different people. Um, can be very helpful as long as you're using. I find if you use your hands, it can be a very helpful thing. So taking up hobbies, and those don't have to be, like I said, expensive hobbies. There's even apps for coloring. Those coloring apps, they're super super fun for people. Other things that you can do that kind of is a different sphere of self-care is relational in a way where it's you're expressing your needs to people, you're asking for help, you're asking for support, you are connecting intentionally with people who care about you, and doing check-ins. And at work, that can look like, if you have a good relationship, hopefully you have a good relationship with your employer, you can do hopefully regular check-ins with your employer about how you're functioning in the workplace, whether you're struggling at all, what can be changed for you. But also, it can be helpful to get yourself mental space. So that can include things like unplugging from devices, so social media, etc. Where you have moments, or even like 10 minutes at a time, where you have just mental space.
Yeah, social media can really be that positive, but also that negative force in your life. Like, it's sometimes you go on and like all you see is like, happy things and like baby pictures and happy family and all that kind of stuff. And then sometimes you go on there, especially during the pandemic, and it feels like every other thing you're scrolling by is just like negative news. And if that's all you're experiencing, whether you're online or offline, not having that disconnection, that's really difficult. That's difficult to then find that happy space.
Yeah. Yeah. And being like, I know that people that I've talked to who struggle with burnout and anxiety, it can be hard to be present, like to be able to find yourself being in the moment. So things like intentional, what we call mindful living, can be really helpful in terms of even just something so simple as running your hands under cold water and feeling the cold water, or when you're eating food, to take a deep breath and then intentionally like chew the bite and feel it in your mouth and swallow it and taste it. Or when you're hugging a loved one, to like feel them against you and to, kind of take in that moment. Those kind of things can be really simple, but really, really helpful.
Those
Grounding.
Yeah, very grounding. Those are very amazing suggestions. Thank you very much for being here again today, Carissa. We really appreciate you coming in, giving our listeners some more information and helping us to understand more about self-care. And again, thank you very much for everything that you do for your community because it's appreciated. And yeah, hopefully there are more episodes in our future.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.